Like if they're not willing to actually, follow the processes, or if the government is not willing to follow the processes, follow the laws, give people a chance to defend themselves, and all of those things, and they just want to talk to the banks and basically cut out people's financial livelihoods without due process. I mean, honestly, yeah, that is an example of the sort of thing that that decentralized technology is there to make more difficult. So, like.
In the meantime, we're seeing that the fees are coming down. There's been this deflationary from the burning of ETH effect. What do you say to the developers who are kind of frustrated with this and are looking at other layer 1 alternatives?
Yeah, I think scaling is aside from the merge, definitely Ethereum's biggest problem at the moment. And there are a lot of different projects that are working to fix it. So there are the layer 2 teams, for example. Optimism, Arbitrum, Metis, Starknet, ZK Sync, Loopring, this longer and longer list of projects. Then on top of that, there's all of the work that's been happening on sharding. We just had an online workshop where we talked about some parts of the sharding spec, and there's been a lot of really good progress on that. And I think there's a lot of community will to put a huge amount of effort into it. Research effort starting now, but development effort once the merge is closer to being finished, and we're past that step. Then all the eyes are going to turn on to sharding and giving us some more scalability. So I'm confident that Ethereum is going to be much more scalable a year from now than it is today. And even Ethereum today, I think rollups are much further ahead than they were a year ago. Right, a year ago, doing anything on a roll-up was basically unrealistic, and they barely existed. And now, roll-ups are just a regular part of people's lives on Ethereum. And
I saw the exploit with Wormhole. Does that give you concern over the bridges between blockchains?
Definitely a concern. I think there's many different kinds of concerns. I think the software bug issue was definitely one concern, and it's definitely one of the reasons why I'm very dangerous or very cautious about solutions that try to move really quickly. There's other concerns as well, for example, just all of the issues around how would the bridge even work? If it's a multi-sig, then could people steal the keys? If it has a governance token, could people take over the governance token? Could people even 51% attack one of the chains? I do think that once you start going between chains, there are all of these really complicated issues that don't exist if you stick on any one of the chains, and that is a concern. The problems with moving between rollups, for example, are definitely smaller, just because.
Bad idea, these bridges.
Yeah. I think the bridges are an interesting position where the way that I describe it is they have anti-network effects, in that I think cross-chain bridges become less secure the more users they have. And so if there are only a few people using them, then I would trust them. I would say that they're very safe. But the more people start using them, the more incentive there is for people to attack them, so they can steal money from all the users at the same time. So I would feel more comfortable using the bridges when they have 50,000 ETH in them than when they have 500,000 or 5 million, right? So I definitely expect them continue to be used, but are they going to be this really big thing that turns assets into something that's very independent from which layer they're issued on? I would say no.
You're Canadian. Right now, Canada has the Emergencies Act invoked. They are blocking cryptocurrency addresses to prevent truckers protesting COVID restrictions from accessing funds. I wonder your thoughts on the whole crisis.
Yeah, that stuff's definitely getting a little crazy. I think my view on this is if you're if the truckers are blocking the roads and that's breaking the economy, fine, blocking the roads is illegal and there's laws against that. But if they're not willing to actually, follow the processes, or if the government is not willing to follow the processes, follow the laws, give people a chance to defend themselves, and all of those things, and they just want to talk to the banks and basically cut out people's financial livelihoods without due process. Honestly, yeah, that is an example of the sort of thing that that decentralized technology is there to make more difficult. So it's also a good example of how it is definitely it's not about being lawless, right? It is in some ways it's about bringing rule of law back, right? They can still you can still go at find people, you can still go after people, you can still like, go just act, the government and the police can act lawfully as they always have. But like this concept of like going after intermediaries and like basically using intermediaries as a way to bypass all that, like it is dangerous, and I do think that like having decentralized alternatives to intermediaries is a good way to limit the damage that this kind of dependence on intermediaries can do.